Arizona, last team standing, representing the Big 12 in the Final Four. Leaf, the guy on the show today, was in San Jose when they punched their ticket to those last four, and he joins us to talk all things Big 12, Arizona. They're at the top. This is the Dos Grande Squad.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome into the Dos Grande Squad. Drake Toll with you from Locked On Big 12. You know, it says from Utah to Kansas State, but I haven't seen JT Westercell in a long time, man. I'm not complaining that much. The pot stirrer isn't here to stir the pot. We're going to have a little Big 12 fun today. Cam Stewart of Locked On Baylor, Mountaineer Paul, Locked On West Virginia, Chris Level, host Locked On Texas Tech, talking all things Red Raiders. Leaf Tulane was in person live when Arizona rallied to make their way to the Final Four for the first time in 25 years. He's from Locked On Wildcats. Cody Stovall, Locked On Oklahoma State, who's got like perfect attendance this year. And wow, 8 minutes late. 8 minutes late to our recording. The Houston Cougars are 40 minutes late to their bat, and there he goes. It was in the studio and out of the studio. We'll let him hang out for a second. We thank you for making
a word that's happening, so I don't know what's happening.
All right, you figured that out. We thank you for making our shows your first listen every single day. Hey, if you're an everydayer, join the Locked On Big 12, Locked On West Virginia, Locked On any of those shows. .supercast.com to join the Everydayer Club, ad-free Locked On shows. Gents, Leaf, we start with you. You're the man of the hour. Arizona representing the Big 12 in the Final Four. You're carrying the boats. You're carrying the league. Do you feel the pressure of 16 fan bases counting on one team?
A little bit. I mean, I think this is the best basketball team in the conference this year, and the numbers would bear it out. But the pressure is that Michigan's really good. I really feel that Arizona and Michigan are the best two teams in the country, and it's a shame they're playing in the semifinal rather than the final. But, you know, to be in the Final Four and shake off the burden that has plagued Tucson for 25 years, a first Final Four in that long, and represent the Big 12 is a good problem to have, I suppose, for Arizona within the Big 12.
So, Leaf, wouldn't that by extension mean that the winner of this game is guaranteed to win the Natty? Say it now, Leaf. Do it. Say it, baby.
I'd certainly say they're favored. It's been a weird little thought in my head. Like, what if these teams beat each other into submission and then all of a sudden Illinois or UConn squeaks one out? So that's popped in my head. But I do think Arizona and Michigan have been the best teams all season long.
Somebody with some talent take my voice with his face and say the Wildcats are going to win all of it because the winner of this game is the best team in the country. Hashtag America.
That's not how it works, Cody.
What are you talking?
That's not. They don't hand the trophy to the semifinal winner.
The FanDuel has the spread on this game razor thin spread on this game. Michigan -1.5.
Yeah,
that's pretty shocking to me.
Why is it shocking?
Well, just because I feel like Arizona has been the best, most consistent team in the entire country the entire year. Certainly, Michigan deserves to be right there, obviously, but I just felt like Arizona, I feel like Arizona should be favored by 3 points or a little bit more, possibly. I just think when you look up and down their roster, they've got, I've said it before, how many is it, Leaf? 8 or 9 guys that's 90 or higher rated players. It's insane.
Yeah, our top 8, I think our top 8 would beat anyone in the country in a series every single time. The thing about Michigan is their top 3 is really, really good. I think their fastball, if you will, like if their A game's going on and you're playing their A game, they might have the best A game. I think Arizona's got the best A- through C+ in the country, and I think that their floor and their reliability is better than everyone else's. Michigan can pose problems because they're huge, and they have 3 NBA players in their front line, and Arizona typically overwhelms teams in the front court. And out of 37 games, 35 of them, Arizona's won the rebounding battle, and many by substantial margins. They beat UConn, who's in the Final Four, by 20 on the glass.
I was there one night in Tucson when they did not win the rebounding battle. But I don't think Michigan. I'm just saying.
What are we doing?
I'm pretty sure they actually did win the rebounding battle. They lost the game, but they won the rebounding.
Not in overtime. But Leaf, I would say after watching, I've seen Illinois in person. I've seen Arizona in person. I don't doubt that Arizona's. I've been rooting for them. They are perfectly built. My concern is if they have to hit threes at some point, and they have to hit them, that they don't. Those shots don't fall, because it looked uncomfortable in the first half, in the Elite Eight game, and then they just came out of the locker room and just overwhelmed them. But I think that I don't doubt what Paul's saying either. I think Arizona's maybe been the best team all year, but it's the final.
Here's a rebuttal for you that you may enjoy, Chris. I think that when Arizona has been whole, they haven't lost a game, and I think Texas Tech is great, and no one was pillaged by injuries more than Texas Tech. So I don't mean this as a slight at all, because that was a great game. But
BYU would like the word, but that's fine.
Koa Pete couldn't move in that game, and the other game that they lost, Koa Pete was also injured. So when Koa Pete's been healthy, they haven't lost. And then the other part with that is they're 35-2 in rebounding, and then in 3 games against top 5 opponents this season, Arizona has scored 90+ multiple times by scoring 3 or fewer threes. So against Arkansas, they hit 5 threes. They went 5 of 8 and scored 109 points. So Arizona, I do agree that the 3-pointer is more important against Michigan than most, but I don't think it gives them a small chance to not shoot many threes. Because what Michigan does very well is they shoot a lot more threes because of the fear of what they can do on the inside. Arizona's got a level that I think stops them just as much as what Michigan can stop Arizona. So I am a little scared that they'll need more threes. But the statistics would say Arizona doesn't need any threes because they shoot 60% from 2, and they also shoot 45% of their shot attempts from 5 feet or in.
Leaf, you've tapped into something I think is really interesting about this game, and that, weirdly, both teams have dominated competition in very similar ways using their size, right?
Yes.
I want to ask you, as someone to watch Arizona much more closely and is prepping for this one, what do you see the game script playing out like? Because I don't act this does feel like Goliath colliding in the same kind of way. There's not it's which team bends first, because it does feel like they both want to do the same thing, so they're going to game plan the very similar way to me.
Yeah, and I haven't quite made up my mind as to what I really think the script will be, but my guess is the number to watch will be turnovers. Or the statistic to watch will be turnovers, because when Arizona forces turnovers, they score really well. But Michigan forces more of them. They play a more gamble-happy defense. And when they force those turnovers, they're so steady and so productive defensively anyway that they run teams out of the gym. When Tennessee was playing early in that game, Tennessee was winning the glass, but they just couldn't manufacture enough good shots. As soon as Michigan forced turnovers, they ran Tennessee out of the gym. They hit a few threes. When Michigan hits threes, you got no chance. I think Arizona won't give up as many good threes because they're not undersized as almost every team in the country is when they face Michigan, forcing double teams. So I think what happens is Arizona slows this game down. I think they play similarly actually to how they played Houston at Houston, in the sense that when they played Houston at Houston, they were missing Koa Pete. So what they need to do is maximize every possession and play more slowly and try to swing the ball from side to side more rather than just drive and score. I think this game will be slower and lower scoring than most games. Michigan's going to want to score from 3. I do think they run the risk of shooting themselves out of the game. But as an Arizona fan, that variability actually scares me, in the sense that if they get hot from 3, then Arizona will have to do what Chris said and shoot some more threes than they're more comfortable to do.
Yeah, sometimes the difference in the game.
Tell all these people that Tommy Lloyd's not going to North Carolina.
I don't think he will. My
confident
these days, but. We talked about Drake and I did a show.
We crossed over Tuesday. Yeah, we crossed over Tuesday. So they'll see it. We got to hit a break here, but Parker, I think Leaf's right. Turnovers are usually the difference. Less free throws are an even bigger difference. 2 free throws. Houston shot 2 free throws. Coming up,
we were talking about me.
Arizona and the Big 12.
This guy.
Is it weird that Arizona's a Big 12 team? That's the school carrying the boats? I don't think so. At least I hope not. This is the Dose Grande Squad. Hey, today's show is brought to you by TurboTax. It's tax time. But for a lot of us, actually, taxes themselves are a lot. Trying to book an appointment that's not the most convenient. Sitting in a waiting room with a stack of papers, emailing back and forth and wondering if they really get your situation. But this year, you're getting a major upgrade. Intuit TurboTax now has in-person locations nationwide. You can meet face-to-face with a real tax expert, and your documents get uploaded straight to your TurboTax app on the spot. Just like that, you're done. Your TurboTax experts work to get you every dollar you deserve while you get real-time notifications as you go about your day. It's the relief of walking in and meeting a real person and walking out knowing your taxes are being handled right. Head to TurboTax.com/local to find a store near you and book your appointment with TurboTax today. TurboTax. It is the Dose Grande squad. There's Cody. Arizona. So Houston being the national championship last year, it's like, all right, cool. The new Big 12 team represents the Big 12 in the national championship. Yeah, I don't think a lot of Big 12 fans, based on how Utah reacts, just don't root for Utah. They feel like this is one of these Pac-12 schools walked in too pompous, and they don't get the benefit of the doubt. Does Arizona carry that? Or is this an Arizona team that feels like, yeah, the Big 12's got Arizona. We love them.
I think this is why they were brought into the Big 12 primarily. I think you could say the same thing about Houston. Would it have been great if Arizona and Houston were both great at football to begin with? Yeah, but I think Brett Yormark, being a basketball dude, he knew that Arizona and Houston should immediately pump up the conference. And I think this is exactly what Brett Yormark had laid out when he envisioned the four corner schools coming in. So from that perspective, no, I think most of us expected Arizona and Houston to carry this level of a basketball brand for the Big 12. So I love it. I think it's going to the script. Yeah.
Arizona feels like a Big 12 team to me.
There we go. That's what I'm That's what I want to hear here, Paul. Yeah, give it to me.
I mean, I don't feel like there's, you look at where they're located, it's a college town. They have a college fan base. They don't really have as many pro teams as other states do. So I feel like it's they do, but they're not as massive as other states are. It's not New York, right? It's not.
He's saying they're not very good. The pro teams aren't very good.
I'm saying Arizona can compete with some of the pro teams in the state.
Phoenix, so I agree with Paul. Like it's separated.
Yeah, right. So to me, there's that familiarity to other Big 12 schools, and then they've gotten better in football. So it's not like they're probably going to be competitive this year in football and are probably one of the dark horses you would pick if you asked me to pick two. I would probably pick them as one of the dark horses to maybe get into that top four range, right? So I think that there's a lot of admirable qualities that they have now that they didn't have when they came, for sure. They've always had basketball. That's like he said, that's why they came. So, yeah, I definitely don't feel like – they're Utah, right? That's the kind of like my go-to whenever I feel like somebody doesn't feel like a part of the Big 12. That's kind of how it feels to me when I look at Utah.
If there's anybody that's butthurt about the new booties representing the Big 12, it's probably a Utah fan. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Well, or Kansas, because it was their conference for so long. Leaf, you'll know the quote better than I did, but there was something Tommy Lloyd said this week about we're only this good because of the Big 12. Like, they got to the Big 12, they got their butt kicked for a year, and they had to elevate their style of play. And now look where they are. It was something to that effect. And I don't remember the exact quote, but it was like they represent the Big 12 because they're a product of the conference. I thought that was a really, really cool angle, frankly.
Yeah, and reading between the lines, I think he basically built that program that we know now as the team that's won the Big 12 in both regular season and postseason. Now we're in the Final Four because they added toughness to kind of resemble what Houston was when they entered the Big 12 and kind of look at what Baylor was when they won it. Like, there's defense there. Of course, these teams are very good offensively if you look at the KenPom, but Baylor was one of the best defensive teams. I know they're 44th entering. You watch that team, they were a monster. And you look at all these teams, they employ no middle defenses, and there was Press Virginia and all these different teams. You could say there's defensive identity, and Arizona is going to be top 10 with Tommy Lloyd in terms of offense. They're going to be that every year, but really what's elevated them from being a top 10 team that flames out and a team that is as good as they are this year is defense. And I think the Big 12 made them feature that as opposed to the Pac-12 where you could just run and gun and out-athlete people. And, I could give shouts to each program like Texas Tech with Chris Beard, and then McCaslin comes in and defends. I think there was a certain we got to acclimate and figure out how to play a brand of basketball that's going to be better than just a 4 seed, because Arizona doesn't want to be a 4 seed and make Sweet 16s. They want to be a team that can be a torchbearer to a conference. And I think Tommy Lloyd elevated the program to follow the footsteps of what Houston did.
As a tried and true. Yeah. Someone could be next.
Yeah. What happened to Texas Tech, Chris? That's what Drake was saying.
No, there's no doubt that Arizona and Houston have made the Big 12 a better basketball league, but there's also no doubt that the opposite is true, that that this league has made these programs better. You have to be, or you're going to get chewed up and spit out. I mean, it's just unforgiving. I mean, peacock today, feather duster tomorrow. That's just how this league works, man, on a night in, night out basis, man. And I think
the Baylor Bears.
Well, like that's a national championship coach, man, and like they had 2 NBA draft picks on their team, and they were extremely average. But you put them in another league, and it may have been very different. I mean, but that's the league that this thing is, man, and. And how these schools look. Bob Bowlesby put Houston in this league. That was survival, right? And then Yormark, they did a great thing with the Four Corner schools. It was also survival. But then you basically say, well, let's pull a little of this, a little of that. You know what? This is a damn good basketball league. Let's showcase it. Let's put it on a glass court in Kansas City and do the things, right? Let's showcase this sport. I was thrilled for Arizona because I think that there's no doubt the league would have taken a hit if you don't send somebody to the Final Four. And if you don't win the national championship, there's going to be some perception there that, it was the Big Ten that was the best league. They've got, that's just kind of how it works. We're all going to poke fun at the SEC because they don't have anybody in the Final Four. They haven't anybody in the title games in football in the last couple of years. And that's what people point to. So I think the Big 12 certainly needs to do their part.
Can we all laugh at Duke though? Before we get there, we can laugh at Duke right now, right? Can we do that?
At all times, except for Cam, who grew up a Duke fan.
We can't do that. We can't make fun of the team that's in our daggone intro, guys. What are you doing? What are we doing?
That TCU Duke game.
Future Big 12 Duke. We can't do that.
That would be a fun addition. So, but I guess where I was going, and where Leaf and I talked on our crossover on Tuesdays, Stanford to me is not an ACC school. If they went to the Final Four tomorrow, I wouldn't think, oh, wow, Stanford, they represent the ACC. That patch wouldn't make any sense. I want to ensure the patch on Arizona makes sense when we talk them in the Final Four.
I don't mean to keep stepping on Leaf's toes here, but I do think it does because he mentioned it's been 25 years, right? Like this does not feel like the same kind of program it has for so long because for so long they were the team that got there and choked. They joined the Big 12 and suddenly they're not, right? Like I think that's a big representation, right?
Yeah. Coming up,
Leaf.
Yeah, congrats.
Leaf. Best player in the nation.
I don't know if the Pac-12 necessarily hurt Arizona, but I do think the Big 12 helped Arizona. I think the Pac-12, they could win a lot. They had Sean Miller and there was programs, but like UCLA was the only real team with a home court advantage in all the Pac-12.
Yeah.
Like I'm from Pac-12 country and I've watched a lot of basketball. The only place you can hear through the TV is McHale and then Pauley when Pauley was actually going. And right now UCLA is not bad, but they don't have any fans. And you go to okay, Corvallis, nice. Eugene, nice. Maples Pavilion, nothing. The Big 12 and the reason Arizona fits in my perception, especially in basketball, is that these are all college towns that believe and care in their programs. Like Kansas, even though I don't like Kansas, they won 17 regular season championships in a row. They are the torchbearer. Allen Fieldhouse is a gauntlet to go enter. Houston's a pain to go play. Texas Tech's got a great home floor. Like every single one of these programs is playing. And I think that type of gritty and physical nature that kind of is instilled by having these programs that really care about basketball and have fans that support it really has helped Arizona. So I don't think the Pac-12 hurt Arizona, like I said, but I think the Big 12 certainly helped Arizona.
Wake up, Christian. You have a basketball team too.
This is Christian school, man. The octagon of octagon of room this year, but the octagon of doom is but Iowa State. I mean, and the beauty of this league is it prepares you for all different styles. Like you're going to play slower, you're going to play faster, you're going to have to play good defense. You better be able to score. You better have depth. I mean, again, it's going to pick apart your deficiencies. And I just
no. Yeah. Why did nobody say Foster Pavilion? Come on, guys. Come on. Palace on the Brazos. Coming up, Brett Yormark. We talked about the glass court a little bit there. And Friday night football. Is the Big 12 missing the boat as far as PR goes? I just don't feel like the Big 12 itself is pumping up Arizona enough going into this weekend as well as other mistakes. This is the Dos Grande Squad. Today's show is brought to you by Robinhood. What if sports were traded like markets? Now you can put your sports IQ to work in real time with Robinhood Prediction Markets. It's not you against the house. It's you participating in a live market. You can buy or sell your positions live all game long. Use your sports knowledge in the moments that matter. Robinhood Prediction Markets changes the game. It's people moving the actions. When momentum shifts, you can move with it. I always knew the game, but never had a dynamic way to apply that knowledge. Now I can actually take part live in a market powered by people. You're no longer just a spectator. Play-by-play, you decide. Trade every play with Robinhood. Now available across the U.S. Download the Robinhood app now to begin. Futures and cleared swaps trading involves significant risk. It's not appropriate for everyone. Event contracts are offered by Robinhood Derivatives LLC, a registered futures commissions merchant and swap firm. Robinhood. Today's show is also brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is exactly where I go with the tournament being here. It's one of the best times of the year. It's where I'm going for Arizona's an underdog, 1.5 points to Michigan, and that's the best part. You can get $300 back in bonus bets every day for 10 days if you're a brand new customer, and throw it on Arizona. You can mix up however you want. Game picks, futures, even same-game parlays. Visit FanDuel.com to sign up today. FanDuel.com to get in on the action. Go to FanDuel.com. Do it today. FanDuel. Play your game. It is the Dos Grande squad. The glass court. Bad for the Big 12. There were the pansy fans, the Utah fans. I'm glad he tried something and apologized. Like I don't give a rat's ass. No one asked for a glass court. You did it. You wasted a lot of money on it. That money could have gone somewhere else. Oh, let's play in Mexico. Nope, burn it with fire. BYU misses the college football playoff. Yormark says, "Oh, I get it. I understand it." The Big 12 wants 10, 11 teams in. Yormark goes to the podium, says, "We'd like 8." and now Arizona doesn't feel propped up. The Big 12's playing Texas Tech, Houston on a Friday night next year. Two contenders in the Big 12.
Possibly.
Two contenders in the Big 12 conference in a state that is predicated on high school football. Like the GDP of high school football in Texas would beat out most countries. I think the Big 12's in a really weird PR spot, and that Yormark, for as good as he is behind closed doors, once those doors open, you're like, dude, why are your pants down?
Yeah, Brett Yormark's definitely missing out on something here. You talk about the glass thing. Last time but you had me on your show, we talked about how during the entire Big 12 wrestling tournament, they sent out like 8 tweets, while the ACC sent out like 40 some odd tweets. Not that wrestling's massive, but then Oklahoma State makes a run at Penn State, and you've got all these freshmen national champions, and the Big 12 doesn't. They don't back enough. They don't back the rivalries. They don't back the conference like other conferences do. Brett Yormark, I think has been the visionary genius we've needed. But it seems like he's fallen flat recently for some odd reason, and I don't get it.
It's interesting, too, because, look, obviously Houston's had their crowd things y'all give me a hard time about plenty of times or whatever, right? But I brought up the idea when a year ago Houston played 4 of the first 5 games not on Saturdays. The game against Texas Tech last year was their first Saturday football game of the season. It was their 4th game of the year, week 6, right? And honestly, when I said it in February, March, April, like, oh, it's not that big a deal. And then we got to September and everyone's like, this is weird. It's the kind of thing where he'll say it now and do it now. And no one's cognizant enough to be thinking about how weird it's going to be to have 2 teams next year. Houston won 10 games last year. Tech went to the college football playoff last year. And they're going to open up conference play on a Friday night. That's an odd thing to do when I imagine everyone in love is going to be at the Monterey game, right? Where's everyone going to be? Like honestly, Chris, it's going to be a weird atmosphere, I'd imagine.
Yeah, but here's the thing. None of these schools can gripe about it. We can sit here and talk about it, but everybody's willing to take that check from the TV network, aren't they? I mean, that's just, unfortunately, this was the deal that they cut. And this is the part that sucks. This is where you realize a pecking order. That's the harsh truth. And there's more Friday games coming, and non-traditional Saturday games coming, but at least you're not playing.
Big 12 title, right?
Yeah.
Well, yes, I don't think the issue is that we're playing on Friday. I think the issue is that it's those 2 teams, and they just so happen to be kicking off the Big 12.
But they're trying to
play Oklahoma State, Kansas on a Friday. I'm sorry, we were terrible. They underperformed. It makes sense. But
I don't want it either. Trust me, I don't want it either. I don't think it helps the crowd. But here's the thing: they're trying to. The TV folks, they don't really care what any of us think. They don't care. They're trying to showcase it. I mean, Clemson played last year on a Friday night. I think Miami played on a Friday night. I want to say Florida State did. I mean, a lot of those ACC schools. This is just unfortunate. And I'd have to go back and look. I think Oregon did. I think they're trying to showcase it. It's a weird way of coming around to. It's kind of a compliment for Houston and for Texas Tech. But yeah, I would love it. don't mess with my Saturday football. That's my thought that I would offer up, but it won't help the crowd. That's for sure.
What are the big complaints about this? Is it that this Fridays for football in especially high school football in Texas?
Well, they filmed Friday Night Lights 2 hours away, and this is a monster high school football.
And people work Friday.
Well, yeah, and like a lot of
short week.
A lot of Tex fan base. Yeah, a lot of Tex fan base lives in Midland, Odessa, or the Metroplex, or whatever.
I just want to make sure we get that out there. What is it that people don't like about it? Because
I will stress, as someone visiting Lubbock as the road team, let's play it on a Friday. We got a better shot.
I'm sure he will. Yeah, I'm sure Parker would absolutely love it. Yeah, if you're the road team, you love it.
Cody's the best example. That's the best I've heard on this. I think from my standpoint of why I'm frustrated is throw Kansas out there. Throw Kansas, and Kansas isn't bad. Throw Kansas, Oklahoma State on a Friday, and you're like, that game fits Fridays. That makes sense. And a lot of some of these TV deals, early season ones work.
I like the Mojo hat, Cam. See, I see it, dog. Yeah, I got you, man.
There you go.
That's some synergy right there. Yep.
The Rock Hounds. Come on.
I also did just check because I was interested. They already have Miami Wake Forest on that same Friday.
It's Wake Forest, dog. I mean, so if we should
dominate that Friday. What I'm saying though is they already have one former college football playoff team up there on that Friday night in Miami.
Who's they? Are you saying ESPN?
ESPN.
Okay, so this one's going to be a Fox game.
Oh, we're gonna.
So they're competing, I guess.
Basically, yeah. That's right. Yeah.
Is there? I mean, probably not. It's too early. But this is a marquee matchup for the Big 12. I mean, this could be Week 6. This could have been College Game Day. Number 13 Houston versus number 6 Texas Tech. Yeah. It probably isn't that. That's not the case 3 weeks in. Yeah, Vork.
For what it's worth, the games I assume will take up the slate of Saturday are Florida State at Alabama, Georgia at Arkansas, and LSU at Ole Miss. Those are big TV games, I'm sure.
Didn't LSU lose to one of those teams we're putting on Friday night? But I mean, I digress. All right.
West Virginia made a living out of the Friday night games for years. For probably 10 years, we played every year on Friday. But that's when we were in the Big East. We were trying to make a name for ourselves, So it's not exactly the same thing. But I do understand. The reason I was asking is from a fan's perspective, I understand what it means, what you're saying as far as the deterrence about playing on a Friday. There are benefits to it as well. But, at the end of the day, we didn't have a matchup like this could possibly be going on at the time either. Usually it was a throwaway game like East Carolina or somebody like that, So Houston and Texas Tech, if they are both top 15 teams at that time, obviously you're thinking, well, dang, we could have game day instead. I get that thought process.
I don't think there's any benefit personally.
The only benefit is you don't have competition of 55 other games. That's the only benefit.
I guess, yeah. Which is why we don't do rivalry week, and I think that's.
But I don't mean to say you don't know what you're talking about, but that's what Chris is talking about. Is your competition isn't the 55 other games on Friday? It's everyone's local team, and that's a very Texas thing. Drake's lived here for a minute, Cam's lived here for a minute, but in Texas, Chris mentioned all those surrounding areas of Lubbock, Odessa, Midland. They've got to decide: am I going to the league game or I'm going to the Tech game? They've got to decide.
Estacado is playing Coronado that night. I mean, that's going to be a huge matchup.
I appreciate the fact that some of you guys do know your Lubbock high schools. Yeah, I respect. Yeah, respect.
What in tarnation, Parker, does that have to do with not playing against the other 55 teams on Saturday?
No, because the deal there to me is that it's not. You're not competing for the TV numbers with the 55 other teams on a Saturday. You're competing with people that are going to go watch their local team for $10 in person, or come watch you for $75 or whatever. Right? That's the game you're playing. And frankly, a lot of these folks, look, Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong. People in Midland and Odessa would rather stay home and pay $10 or $15 to watch Midland Lee than they would to go watch Tech in Houston.
I mean, and so another piece of it too is TV viewership. The state of Texas, again, you're a Houston fan, but I'm not watching my phone. I'm watching my kid. I'm not watching the game on my phone. I'll check the score later. I'm watching my kid. That's a lot of people who will be in the state of Texas watching high school football. I mean, dudes whose kids aren't even in school 10 years ago. They care more about their high school team on Friday. That's what Fridays are reserved for. They're sacred in Texas. That's a big problem.
That seems like that only I mean, maybe not only, but
you're right.
Definitely
Paul.
doesn't exist in West Virginia.
It's a vacuum. It's certainly a vacuum.
Yeah.
Orlando, UCF, put them on Friday night against West Virginia. It's probably a better, there's a better chance.
Nobody's beating out the Mountaineers in West Virginia, obviously. I get that.
People are wearing more, Geyer stuff around than they are their A&M stuff on a Friday. Like that's what Friday is reserved for. We're just name dropping
crazy
teams now.
This is like having to play a game over in Europe or Germany or wherever the hell they're playing this year. Who
Mexico.
Is Arizona State?
TCU, North Carolina.
Arizona
that was
State,
a killer for those teams last
Arizona
year.
State and Kansas are playing somewhere, aren't they? Aren't they playing like in week 3 or 4 over in
Ireland, right, or somewhere like that?
Czechoslovakia or something? I don't know.
News
somewhere.
to me. We'll put them on an aircraft carrier.
Basketball players.
They are.
Figured
Yeah.
out. They'll play the game wherever Illinois gets their basketball players.
Yeah, maybe Tommy Lloyd and Brad Underwood, instead of going to the Final Four, will end up scouting out that football game and say, "Oh wait, you're 6'8".
That's great. Mountaineer Paul locked on West Virginia. Parker Ainsworth locked on Cougs. Cameron Stewart hosting all things Baylor. Leaf Tulane with Arizona. Chris Level to Christian Rao and Cody. Christian, you played the game the right way today, my friend. You were playing chess. We were playing checkers, and I appreciate that. You nailed it. Cody Stovall locked on Oklahoma State. This has been and always will be. Thanks for making our shows your first listen every single day. Locked on the Dos Grande Squad.